to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars, crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. Taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, heart full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous? Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop off. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. Taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me?
Welcome back to another episode of Southern Truth. I'm your host, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, I hope everyone having a wonderful weekend, and it is going to be one of those weeks where we celebrate the 4th of July in America, but also we celebrate my partner's birthday, who is also on the 4th of July also. So Shay's birthday will be this Friday as well. I'll be taking her out and spoiling her rotten, as you should do. You should spoil your loved ones and whatnot. But today we're going to go into a little bit more detail of what we talked about in the last episode. We're trying to talk about Haydn, who was the eldest son of Harry. And there's been questions on and circling around whether he has more involvement, whether he knows a bit more than what he gave out, whether he's covering up or whatnot. And we are going to read, this is not the updated book, mind you. This is the book that I was given by Stuart Mullins and Bill Hayes. There's an updated version of the same book, got 3 extra chapters in it, that was up for pre-sale. We're going to drop the link in the video below after this. But before we do this, let's play you another song, shall we? And we'll get right into it. So if you haven't already like, please share, and please subscribe if you haven't done so. So let's get into another song, shall we?
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute, I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip and I don't plan to visit. I'm gonna stay there till I feel like I'm winning, and this is just the beginning. I need a big change, help me feel like living. I need a big swing, home runs I'm hitting, and I'll never look back, moving on till I get it all. And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? Let's go! Hey! Yeah, this is my life, my strife, my right to fight, to die on. And this is my game to play, to claim a brand new name, And I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm a bit nervous that I might screw everything up that I've ever done. But what's the point of living if you ain't having fun? I guess I'll try this, try that, might miss, gotta find what I'm good at. I guess I look here, look there, over where am I scared, where am I at? I gotta make it in this life, whatever makes me happy, know I'm doing things right. Sipping in the summer on a goose and Sprite, or find a nightclub for the end of the night, And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
And we are back. We are back. So yeah, so in the last episode we talked about Haydn, who is the eldest son of Harry, who is one of the alleged suspects who supposedly adopted the three children, the Beaumont children, Jane, Arna and Grant. Now, before we read some of the passages in regards to Haydn, it has now came out due to Bill Hayes and to Stuart Mullins, who is the co-author of the book and also their private investigators who've been investigating this case for so long. Since the last Castalloy disc that they conducted back in late February this year, more stuff has been unraveled. More information has come forward and more information has unraveled and set them in a slightly different direction than previously thought. And what I'm talking about is they now come to the conclusion that Haydn's involvement in this disappearance is a lot closer than originally thought. And the question we got to ask is what type of involvement was that? Was it to do with cover-up? Was it to do with being a assistance, an acquaintance? What type of involvement did Haydn had on the day of the disappearance? Because he, in his statement to Bill Hayes, Haydn's statement before he passed away, he was on the property of his parents' place on the day of the disappearance, and who was potentially the last eyewitness, so to speak, to see the 3 young children, the Beaumont children. Potentially. Now, let's give our warning before we continue on. Southern Truth is for entertainment purposes only. We talk news, rumours, gossip, speculation, theory, tied in with your truly sense of humour. Everyone that is named and mentioned in this case are innocent to proven guilty in the court of law, and they, as most of them, are no longer alive to be able to face their jury of peers. No one has been arrested or charged with anything to do with this case. It still remains an open case, cold case, unfortunately. And any opinions that other people have in the chat room or in the comment section underneath the video are their opinions only, and it doesn't facilitate with any opinions that yours truly have. Any opinions that I have are solely that. They're only opinions and my thoughts. And I ask everybody to do your own investigation. Don't take anything I say as gospel. Do your own research. Well, g'day, Quickie. How's your weekend been? I hope it's been really good for you over there. If you haven't seen the last episode, I have dropped a pinned comment underneath the video where you can pre-order the updated book of this. This is not the updated book. This was the book that was given to me by the authors. There's a pre-order right now where you can pre-order the updated version of this, which actually has 3 more chapters in it. And yeah, it's hot over there, cold here. We've got winter here, so, and in some places here in Australia, it is snowing like you never believe. But we're keeping warm. We're keeping warm. I just don't understand. We live in the same planet and we have different time zones, different seasons. I truly believe the earth is round and down under is on top. I just love to be on top. Just get your thoughts out of your head, okay? Just get your thoughts out of your head. Don't keep your thoughts in the gutter. I just love being on top, okay? I love being a winner, not a loser, okay? 100 plus degrees. We had that this summer too, over 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit, which is equivalent anything above 35 degrees Celsius here in Australia is around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We can go up to 48 and 52 degrees Celsius, which is around about, give or take, 120, 130 in some cases in your neck of the woods. But yeah, down under is on top, and I love being on top. So just don't think about the gutter. Don't think about the dirty stuff. You know, all you ladies out there that been trying to keep it that type of thing. Yeah. Remember, the children watching out there. Not here, out there. just shh. Keep the bedtime stories down to a minimum, shall we? Okay? Keep the bedtime stories in the minimum. We don't want any bug bites, you know. But anyway, let's get serious. I am serious. I'm trying to keep a straight face here. When you guys make it, don't worry. If you haven't seen the last episode, there is a pinned comment underneath the video where you can pre-order the updated version of this. This is not the updated book, mind you. This is the one that was written and it was given to me by the authors. If you don't believe me, I've got the autograph there. Whoops, there you go. Stupid green screen. But yeah, the updated version's got 3 extra chapters in it and a little bit more information of where the case is going, which direction it's going, and so forth. But we're going to talk about the eldest son. The eldest son, Haydn, was potentially the last known witness according to the authors here, who saw the Beaumont children on the day of the disappearance, the last potential eyewitness, who also described the clothes they were wearing and the beach towels that they had, the colours, the design, down to a T. But where we are now in this investigation, according to Bill Hayes and Stuart Mullins, they believe now that Haydn has a lot, his involvement to the case is a lot closer than originally thought. Now, you've got to ask yourself a question. What do they mean by that when they say they believe that Haydn is closer than they originally thought to the case? Does that mean that he had some type of involvement? Was he covering up? Was he an acquaintance? What was his role in this? Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to read you a couple of pages out of this book in regard to Haydn testimony, right? So just remember, this is not the updated version, but a lot of the updated versions got this stuff in it. It's just got extra 3 chapters in it, right? So I'm just going to get this in a second. All right, the eyewitness. I'm trying to find it here. All right, give me a couple of seconds. Yeah, the eyewitness. Chapter 13. Unlucky for some. Chapter 13. All right, let's go back. All right, I'm right there now. All right, chapter 13. And get yourself a coffee, hot chocolate, or even give yourself a nice cold drink. We're going to be here for a bit, so make yourself comfortable, sit back, relax, put your feet up, and enjoy your story time telly from Unmasking of the Missing Beaumont Children. We're going to read a couple of pages of this book where Haydn speaks to Bill, who gives himself a testimony to Bill in regard to the Beaumont Children disappearance before Haydn passed away. Haydn's no longer alive. So, testing, 1, 2. All right, let's go. Bill Hayes, who is one of the co-authors and also used to be a former major crime detective here in South Australia, spent a decade as a detective in the South Australian police force. He has heard every Beaumont Children disappearance conspiracy theory and felt the frustrations of detectives following another false lead that again led to a dead end. He has seen potential suspects brought to the light with no charges being laid. And to this day, almost 60 years later, or it's going to be 60 years next year, no one has been charged with anything. No one. No charges been laid. No one's been arrested. No one. And the hopes of Mr. and Mrs. Beaumont, who is the mother and father of the children, they are no longer alive also. So the mother and father went to their grave not knowing where their children are. Sad story. And the Australian public yet again being dashed. South Australian police still receive more calls regarding this cold case than any other. Every single day, hundreds, if not thousands of calls daily in relation to this case to give them some information, whether it's a false lead, conspiracy theory, you name it, has all been done on a daily basis, even today. Yet, No substantial information has ever been received to crack this case wide open. And according to Stuart Mullins and Bill Hayes, they said in this book, until now. Crucial to the naming of Harry Phipps, who is the father of Haydn, who also used to be a businessman, who used to own Castalloy Factory down at North Plympton, not too far from the residence of Glenelg. As a suspect has been the testimony of his eldest son Haydn, which we are now going to talk about the ongoing sexual abuse of his father at the home. Asking with his account of seeing Jane, Arna and Grant Beaumont in his backyard on the fateful day of 1966. Now, according to this book, this is their opinion, Haydn is the last known potential eyewitness who literally saw the three children, Beaumont children, at the property in the backyard on the fateful day of their disappearance. All right, we're going to talk about it. Over time, Haydn Phipps had gained a negative reputation. According to his second wife, Angela, and echoed by a close cousin, former friends from the 1960s and 70s, several Castalloys and managers that we have spoken to, Haydn was an alcoholic and a drug dependency. So he was impacted by alcohol and illicit drugs to manage the pain, I suppose, to manage the trauma that he went through. Who knows? It's a terrible thing, and it's not the in my opinion, it's not the right thing to do, but if it's the only thing at that time to do, you have to understand people go to the nearest thing that they can grab, and if they can self-medicate themselves, yeah, they can, but most of the time it's a spiral downhill battle. And let me just open this blind just a little bit so I can, there you go, bring some light to the matter. These people have seen Haydn angry for no reason at times, displaying fits of rage and temper outbursts. Haydn was also prone to pronounce mood swings and appeared at times to have death wits. He was unable to hold down a job for any length of time and was unable to hold a marriage as well. He was divorced twice. Added to this, quite a few people who had seen him as a teenager and also was into adulthood stated that he hated his father Harry with a passion, his abhorrence clearly visible and for no apparent reason. With the assistance of Haydn's ex-wife Angela, former police detective Bill Hayes, and also co-author of this book, located Haydn living in a men-supported accommodation home on the Gold Coast in Queensland here in Australia. Angela had initially put Haydn at ease about meeting with Bill, but it still took months of negotiation and encouragement for him to warm to the idea of telling his story, especially to a former police officer, which is not unusual for a victim of child sexual aid. To convince Haydn to meet Bill, there needed to be a slowly approach to build trust. This was achieved over many months, after which he finally agreed to meet. Right? So after several months and slowly to build trust in Bill Hayes, Haydn finally come to a conclusion to meet Bill Hayes and to give his testimony. Bill, donning his detective hat, had already been vetted, interviewed Angela, and he was confident that she was reporting the truth as she knew it about what Haydn had confided in her. Bill, as he always had, followed the old police ABC of investigation, assumed nothing, believed no one, and check everything. That's the ABC ruling the investigation. On Thursday, 18th September 2008, Bill Hayes boarded an aircraft to make the 2-hour flight from Adelaide to Coolangatta Airport, which is the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, where he finally met and interviewed Haydn, now aged 58. His first impression was nothing like he expected, given all the things he had heard about the man. Haydn wasn't a shell, an unkept person, a raving alcoholic, or dazed on prescription drugs. What Bill found was a man of solid build, casually dressed, well presented, and intelligent. What was noticeable from his initial conversation was that Haydn Phipps still loved and cared for his ex-wife Angela, and she did Haydn. They were simply unable to live together due to the memories that Haydn has. He's having nightmares, and sometimes he'll go into a fit of rage of anger, and so forth, so forth. It didn't take long for a rapport to build between the two. Bill Hayes found Haydn articulate, personable, and forthcoming with a dry sense of humour. Bill also sensed a sadness behind the chit-chat, and it became obvious that Haydn was a man carrying a heavy burden. Bill was also aware that Haydn had been abusing alcohol as well as prescribed and illicit drugs, and had been receiving professional assistance for mental health issues. Bill's use of experience assured him that Haydn was mentally competent and stable and in clear-minded state for the interview. Had that not been the case, then the interview would not have proceeded. After a long chat and a cup of tea and a scone, Bill was relieved that Haydn agreed to be recorded when speaking about Harry's alleged involvement in the abduction of the Beaumont children. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is going to be eye-opening, and I want people to pay attention, because what Haydn got to say in this testimony, it's a lot of questions and answers. This case got a hell of a lot of questions. Unfortunately, not many answers. So let's continue. Bill uses an interviewing technique that he had experience with, which he had been developed by the FBI to help law enforcement officers ascertain if the interviewee is telling the truth. This is known as the abductive interviewing technique. The interview began with some straightforward questions. Haydn confirmed he had attended one of Adelaide's most prestigious and premier schools, Plympton Grammar, the same school his father had attended many years before. So, Haydn and his father went to the same school, but several years apart from each other. Right. He was accepted at university, where he trained as an engineer. However, he did not complete his degree course, and after 18 months of study, he left to join Castalloy Limited, which his father used to own, Castalloy Factory down at North Plympton. Harry Phipps, who was the father, was managing director of Castalloy for the best part of the 23 years. Okay, here we go. Let's get into the testimony. Haydn grew up at an area called Torrens Square in Glenelg, South Australia. The family home, Isola, had originally belonged to his grandfather, Frederick Phipps, which I've been past there. We've done a walk around video 2 years ago. And if you can go in the videos, live things or whatever, you will find the video. We've done a walk around. We showed you the house where they used to live. and his father Harry had inherited that home. Haydn lived there for roughly his first 19 years of his life with his parents, Harry and Olga Phipps. His father, whom Haydn referred to only as Harry, never Dad, died in 2004. So Harry died in 2004, right? Due to complications arising from Alzheimer's disease and kidney failure. His mother, Olga, passed away 10 years earlier in 1994. She came from an Irish Catholic background as his father was of strong Church of England. So you had the Anglican Church and the Catholic Church, Protestant versus Catholic, living under the same roof. It's like Celtic and Rangers in the Scottish Football Club. One's Protestant, the other one's Catholic. They don't get along. Haydn said to his parents' marriage was bitter, unhappy one. He didn't think they had any sexual relationship at all. According to Haydn, Haydn used to sneak off to another room and so he can go to sleep in his satin pajamas. The father, Harry, is known as the satin man. He used to get a sexual fetish wearing satin. Every time the father wears satin, he gets sexually aroused. That's not my words, it's in the book. Haydn described his father in the mid-1960s as approximately 6 foot 1 inch tall, with a concave chest, skinny, weak, limp, and lengthy. His hair was blonde or light brown with a slight wave, and to the best of his recollection, he parted his hair onto the left side. Haydn recalls that his father often took walks by himself around Glenelg and Collie Reserve. That's where the children were. And further southeast to Somerton and Brighton beaches. He was an avid swimmer at Glenelg and a man who was very much focused on himself. The family were always hesitant to ask him what he was doing and where he was going. Ossola was a short distance from Collie Reserve, just like the Beaumont Children. Haydn regularly played at Collie Reserve as a child. Check this out. Haydn was a regular player and used to play down in the playground at Collie Reserve. The Beaumont Children was also known to play down at Collie Reserve. Does Haydn have more involvement in this? I mean, when the children disappeared in 1966, Haydn was 15 at the time. Jane was 11. So 4 years older. Now, the morning of the disappearance, Jane was getting teased by Arna, the sister, stating at the dining table, Jane's got a boyfriend, Jane's got a boyfriend. I'm not saying this is a possibility, this is a question. Was Haydn, or is Haydn, the boyfriend that Jane was getting teased about by her sister Arna? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? It was and still is a favourite beachside location for children and teenagers. His father's factory often sponsored running races held at the reserve in the 1970s. A basic vegetable and steak man, Harry will eat parties from a nearby Orange Spot bakery on the Anzac Highway that would often frequent. Now, the Orange Spot bakery is in Glenelg, but it's on the other side. So you come into Glenelg on Anzac Highway, instead of turning left onto Brighton Road, then go down Jetty Road, where old Wenzel's Bakery used to be, the old spot bakery was actually near and closer to their residence than Wenzel's were. So you would think, and this has been a question for a time, why did the man and the children, the Beaumont children, went to Wenzel's Bakery when the man and the children could have went to the old spot where it's a lot closer than Wenzel's? Because he didn't want to be known and he didn't want to be recognized. Because Harry, who was the father of Haydn, frequent the old spot bakery. And to this day, that bakery is still there. We are going to do another walk around and I'm going to show you guys that bakery. I might actually buy a pie for myself in for shade. We'll take you down there. And then we will walk from the bakery to the house and show you how close the house is. And then we'll show you where Wenzel's Bakery used to be to the house. We'll take you on a bit of a journey, boots on the ground type of thing. Haydn went on to say Harry, the father, thrived on his notoriety, never going anywhere without his .38 police revolver. This was confirmed by a neighbour and a former senior manager at Castalloy. He enjoyed being the man about town. Many described him as a big noter, self-assured, confident, and excluding bravado. Haydn also knew his father to be violent, especially in the household, as he had once written to his then ex-wife, Angela, in 2010, when then forwarded this email on to Stuart Mullins. Here we go. This is the email for Stuart Mullins. You and everybody else know of the full terror I live with daily, sometimes minute by minute. I suffered at the hands of this man, my so-called father. I was, ever since I can remember, full of absolute terrifying fear of him and what he was capable of. All right, that was the email to Stuart Mullins. All right. So let's go to the testimony. I'm just skipping fast forward a few pages here. All right. Bill interviewed Haydn back in 26th of January 1966. So Bill took Haydn back in the Dorian time to January, the day of the disappearance. Did Haydn know anything about the disappearance of Jane, Arna and Grant Beaumont? This is what Haydn said. I was home for lunch around midday to 12:30 in the afternoon. I'm not exactly sure, but around lunchtime, from working at the Glenelg bowling alley with a friend as pin boys. He used to clean the pins at the bowling alley. From the cubby house, so it was a cubby house in the backyard, I then saw the Beaumont children come into the backyard. They came into the backyard, they went inside the house, and that was it. Right? Is it interesting to note that the children with the man left the change rooms at Collie Reserve at about 12 p.m., midday, to 12:16. So there's about 15-minute window, right? Haydn then, right? In the morning or later afternoon. However, as coincidence has it, he saw them between midday and 12:30 that afternoon, which coincides with all of them leaving Collie Reserve. Haydn then sees the children enter the house where the front door points down Sussex Street 200 metres from Jetty Road. A short turn right and then a left to Wenzel's Bakery. The timing of when the children left the reserve to being seen by Haydn and then being seen buying the lunch appears to fit. Haydn said to Bill that the children, whom he now believed to be the Beaumont children, also at the time he did not recognise them, looked to be lost. Haydn described Jane, Arna and Grant as being little kids, one shorter than the other two. He said they all had short haircuts, and initially he was not sure if they were three boys or girls because they all looked similar. You know the Beatles haircut, the bobcat under the bucket haircut? They all looked the same back in the 60s. It was a frequent thing. Right? He worked out not long after that it were two girls and a more boy. He went on to note that he had coloured, the Beaumont children had coloured beak tails with them. He was not sure of the colours, but they were bright colours like yellow or orange. He later told Bill that the taller of the children had a little jiffy bag over his shoulder, like one of those little plastic airline bags which kids would carry at the time. With the purse, the money went missing, yeah? This comment from Haydn bore strong similarity to what the children had with them the day of the disappearance. Indeed, Jane did have her an airline-type bag. Also, unbeknown to most, even now, Jane, Arna and Grant Beaumont beak tails were blue and two had the same pattern of yellow, green, red, black and white stripes. Let's continue on what Haydn says. They came in from around the front of the house to the backyard, and Harry, my father, must have been putting his bloody dresses in the back of the boot of the car, and they copped him doing it. And I didn't know, well, say a lot, a fair bit of time went past, like we didn't really take that much time. We didn't pay that much attention to what was going on, and we just sort of thought like, oh, the old prick will take them down to the bloody tram stop or whatever to do, take them home or whatever he would do, and that was it. I'm just reading this. It's not really good punctuation, and this is the way that Haydn was talking at the time. Haydn saw the children talking to Harry, but due to the distance between them, he couldn't hear what was said. Harry appeared to be a bit tense with them, but didn't send the children away. Instead, he sent them into the house and followed them in. Haydn remembers thinking that Harry was perhaps going to make a phone call. He doesn't remember seeing the children come out of the house. He said that about 20 minutes after he saw the children talking to Harry, he saw Harry come out of the house and load a few more plastic bags, get into the car and drove off. Harry did not return home for a long time. Haydn recalls going into the house sometimes later, finding the front door had been left open. There was no sign of the children, no disturbance within the house. He hadn't heard any sound of screaming or shouting while the children were at the home. At this stage, it is also interesting to note that the children's carry bag and towels were not spotted at the bakery by the shop assistant serving them. So when they went to Wenzel's Bakery to get the pies, pasties, finger buns and a soft drink, the towels wasn't with the children that they took with them down to Glenelg Beach on the day, and also the curry bag, the airtight bag or purse that Jane had. They went loose. Nothing. Just went down there by themselves. But Haydn went inside the house. The towels and the personal belongings were not there. So obviously, according to Haydn, all the belongings were must have been put into the car where Harry drove off and never returned home for hours later. Where did the children go? Where did Harry go? More to the point. Bill asked Haydn whether he thought of any stage that he should have spoken to the police about what he had seen on the day of the disappearance of the Beaumont children. Haydn responded that he thought about it, but he had watched the way the police and media treated others who came forward about the case. They made such a farce of the person they were, that was a psychic and all the rest of it, and it made them look like such deals. And I thought, no, I'm not going to be shown up as a deal just by saying anything, you know. I've been saying this for a long, long time, and this just verifies it. Anyone that has a little bit of information about the disappearance of the Beaumont children, they didn't trust the police. And even today, the social trust, the public trust, I should say, it's a bare minimum, if at all. Because let's say that you're the victim, they will treat you being the perpetrator. Often than not, the victim gets more of a rough end of the stick than the perpetrators do. Basically, you might be an innocent person, but in the police eyes, you're guilty. You're the victim of a robbery, of a break-in, or whatever, assault, so forth. But in the eyes of the police, and I'm not making this up, in the eyes of the police, you're the guilty one. Basically, in their eyes, you deserve this. And that's why people don't have trust in the South Australian police when it comes to the missing Beaumont children case and the Adelaide Oval case and a lot of other cases here in South Australia. They do not trust the police one iota. And if you have any information or any type of evidence or anything, people don't want to go to the police with this. They want to hold on to it. And unfortunately, this case of the Beaumont children has been going on for 60 years. You can understand why people don't want the police involved. Right? I'm not saying that every police officer is corrupt. Is there corruption in the police force? Yes, there is. Unfortunately, you've got to weed out the good ones from the bad ones. And it's unfortunately. Chris, you say people don't trust the police in any country. Exactly. When Haydn was 40 years old, he spoke to a psychologist about the disappearance of the Beaumont children and what had been seen that day, but not at length. He also spoke to his former wife, Angela Fife, about the sexual abuse he had suffered at the hands of his father and what he believed that his father had something to do with the disappearance of the Beaumont children. Bill Hay spoke with Haydn about the houses at the Castalloy Factory. Now, before they flattened and demolished the old factory site at Castalloy, down the front, there used to be 2 cottages that the father also used to own. And there's been rumors and speculations and some theories that the father used to carry out his activities with children inside the cottages. Unfortunately, that is now disappeared. What I mean by disappeared, they have literally excavated the whole property Shay and I were down there in the last dig, and the houses are gone. The cottages are gone. A lot of stories, a lot of questions still remain down at Castalloy. But unfortunately, it will never be answered now. They found some answers, but when it comes to the activities, when it comes to any type of abuse at the cottages, so forth, they're no longer there. They were there 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when we did the walk around. And I was the one that told Bill Hayes about them putting these orange flags in the soil. And Bill Hayes says to me, Bill Hayes, who wrote this and a former police detective, I've got his number. I reached out to Bill Hayes. Hey, Bill, I don't know if you're aware of this, but just down at the location where the two cottages are, there's red flags being put into the ground. And he said, Jamie, what cottage? I said, the one that is closer to the city. Now, if you come through the driveway, there's one on the left of the driveway, which is towards the beach, the coast. And on the other side of the driveway was another cottage that was towards the city. I said the orange flags are around the front and the side of the cottage located towards the city. When the dig happened, the final dig happened late this year, early this year, late February this year. I spoke to Bill Hayes and I just followed up. Did he follow up about that information about the orange flag? I said, yes, Jamie. Matter of fact, a few days after you contacted me, the South Australian Police was on the location doing their research to see if they can find anything located underneath the soil of the old Castalloy. And I asked Bill, did they find anything? He said, no, they didn't. They didn't find anything. So for me giving the information to Bill, he wasn't aware of the orange flags. He didn't know what was going on at the time. But a few days after I gave him that information about the orange flag, the South Australian Police was down there doing their investigation of the missing Beaumont children. I was told this in February this year, and I didn't know that the police was down there. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Okay, let's go this. Let's go into more of the testimony. Let's just fast forward. Bill asked Haydn if there was, Bill asked Haydn if there was a dump on the company property at Castalloy could dispose of the waste. And unbeknown, and this is what Haydn said. Haydn said there was. It was over about 4 acres of the company's block at the right end back of the houses. Hang on a minute. So Haydn said there was, where their waste was like if you come up the driveway, you've got the two cottages, the right back corner. Now, in the last dig, back in February this year, the excavators didn't go up near the right-hand corner of the property. After the last press conference, and I'm kicking myself because I was saying to Shay, I don't want this to be recorded, right? Yes, I was live streaming down there where the press conference, but then I turned the cameras off. I wish I would have had this camera still rolling. The reason being I turned the cameras off and I stopped the live stream, I was involved in a conversation and with several people. And a bystander who's been down there during the whole entire time while the excavation dig was doing, he had his cell phone out and he asked the forensic archaeologist Hennenberg that was shaded yesterday and the team that was doing the excavation and the independent Member of Parliament Frank Bungalow. I was involved in this circle, right? The bystander turned around and said, "You wasted so much time and energy focusing on the west side of the property, the west side, which is the left. If you look down the driveway where the two cottages used to be, the west side is on the left-hand side." Right? He said, "But you never touch the eastern side corner, which is in the book, and that it's on the right-hand side of the property, the right-hand side." They were down there for a week, the excavation. They did not excavate anything on the right-hand side of the business property, the right-hand side. Right? Haydn said that the waste is on the right-hand corner. Well, then you've got to, I wish I could ask Heidelberg this, and I will be talking to Bill Hayes and Stuart Mullins in a very near future, and I will ask them, why did the team at the last Cast Alloy did mainly focus on the western side flank, the left, not the right, the left, because this bystander had his phone out and he had potential heat maps of underground penetrating radar that also showed that the soil had been disturbed over a several period of time. He said to the excavation team, this bystander, "You will only need 1 hour. 1 hour." And he said this, because I was standing right beside him. He said this, "You will only need 1 hour. And matter of fact, I reckon you will find something in the first 20 minutes of that hour." You know what? He got shut down because it was the last day. It was a Saturday, right? They weren't supposed to go up to they were supposed to go up to 4 o'clock on Saturday. They caught it early. They shut it down at 3 o'clock. So potentially they had a window of 1 hour before they could shut down. But they decided to shut the site down and call it off an hour beforehand. Right? The head guy of the excavation team, he wanted a month. He wanted to do the whole entire property, inch by inch. But due to the powers to be by the government and for several other people that were involved in the excavation, they were only given 1 week. But they mainly focused at the back and the left-hand corner. They didn't even go to the right-hand side. That area has still remained to be untouched as I speak right now. And Haydn said in his book that the waste that the factory used to have was down the right-hand corner behind the 2 cottages. If you're looking at the driveway, you had 2 cottages, one on the left-hand side, one on the right-hand side. And then you had the factory behind the cottages. Well, behind the cottages, the factory, that's where the waste site was, on the right-hand corner. Why didn't the excavation team even consider to look at that side? And they were asked in this circle, and I'm kicking myself. I wish I did record it and show you guys, because it was going on for young and old. Matter of fact, it got so heated that there could have been a fist fight because people wanted answers and they believed that it was a waste of time and resources. It was not tax funded, it was privately funded. Right? But this bystander, and I agree with him, and I was pointing, like, the archaeologist, the forensic archaeologist, "Oh, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?" He's arguing with me. It meant to settle down. He's talking about the other side. And he said, no, but we did this side. No. You did this side, which is the left-hand side at the driveway. He's talking about the right-hand side, the opposite direction. He said, we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time. It's all over. And he said, mate, he only wants you to have 1 more hour. It's not 4 o'clock yet. You got to 4 o'clock to call this off. You're calling it off at 3 o'clock. He said, according to him, you will be able to find something in the first 20 minutes. Now, if they did, then they'll have to stay around. The police would have been called. Now, here's the thing. It was the hot, dusty week. It was the hot, dusty excavation. They wanted to get it done. You can see the exhaustion. You can see the stress. You can see everything. A little bit of disappointment as well. I saw the disappointment. But the right-hand side of that factory, or where the factory used to be, the property, that wasn't touched. And it still remains untouched today. What are they doing down at this property where the old factory is? They're building houses on it. The South Australian government owns it now. They're going to build houses on it. Many people are going, there could be bodies buried still underneath that. We don't know. All I know, there's a lot of questions that still remains unanswered. And if Haydn, the eldest son, said that the waste dip-off point was on the right-hand side of the factory, well, why hasn't anybody done an excavation on that side? This guy who was a bystander that I saw back in February this year, he had underground radar photograph showing that the soil on the right-hand side has indeed been disturbed. What's down there remains to be unknown. During the period, what's this? This is Haydn. During the period, we met with the second in command South Australian Major Crime Investigation Branch, a Detective Chief Inspector. At that meeting, they outlined their dealings with Haydn and what he had said in Bill's interview. It was an affable enough meeting, and as it is conclusive. Bill advised that if the police were to speak with Haydn, they needed to do it with great delicacy due to the mental. Haydn was mental fragile back then, and that Bill offered to act as a go-between to make introductions to ease the way. Unfortunately, by the chronicle of distance between South Australia and Queensland, the economic reality was that a police officer from South Australia would not be sent to Queensland to speak with Haydn, even for a minute. As notorious and serious as this was, instead Haydn received an unexpected and apparently heavy-handed telephone call from a Queensland police detective, a call that was disastrous for Haydn and also for a time to this investigation. He abruptly ended the call that he was shaken by the officer's manner towards him. He later received a phone call from the South Australian police detective with whom we had spoken to, and on being pressed by the detective, Haydn said that he had made it all up. Haydn later told us that he felt that this was what the detective wanted to hear and that it was so disturbed by the manner of the call that he would have said anything to make them stop. The detective hung up after he told him this. Stuart Mullins also spoke to the detective after this call with Haydn, where he reminded the detective that Haydn was in a vulnerable state and that should have been kept in mind. The detective replied that people with a mental disorder say these things. Here we go. Stuart Mullins challenged her as to how they make this judgment without meeting and spending time with Haydn. So this South Australian detective never met Haydn, but she made her judgment up just by the sound of his voice over a telephone. That he's making this all up. Okay. All right. Just after the phone call, Haydn sent an email to his former wife, Angela. In this email, Haydn says this: everything I told you about him was the absolute truth. I have been questioned, interrogated, tape recorded, phone calls from Adelaide, and had all sorts of ranking officers who tried to trick me into what I have said and have not said. He also contacted his cousins after receiving a call from the South Australian detective saying, "Who in the fuck does this detective think they are asking me such a question over the phone? I have said all I have to say in my interview with Bill Hayes. Due to this approach by the detective, it took us 2 years to regain his trust. When at last Haydn was willing to once again speak with us, he advised us that he had lied to the detective when he said that he had made up the story. He just wanted to get rid of him. But he had not made it up. He had told Bill Hayes the truth. He had told this same story to his son and his cousin as far back as the early 1990s, but no one had taken him seriously until we became involved. In October 2011, Bill Hayes traveled to the Gold Coast and met with Angela Fife in the hope in convicting Harry Phipps to agree to a second recorded interview. She was exactly as Bill had remembered her to be: truthful, honest, reliable, forthright, and trustworthy, and asking for absolutely nothing from the process. Angela had agreed to pick up Haydn and bring him to meet with Bill the following morning. The following day, Angela had, true to her word, gone and picked up Haydn and brought him back to the hotel to meet with Bill. When Angela brought him to Bill's suite, there were 2 surprises. The first was that Haydn commented that he hadn't believed that Bill was going to be at the hotel. The second was Bill's surprise at how much Haydn had deteriorated since he had last seen him. At their previous meeting, Haydn was sober, clean, well-dressed, well-fed, and alert. On this day, although it was only around 10 a.m., Haydn was obviously the worse for wear due to his alcohol intake. He was unshaven, burnt, disheveled in drink, and food-stained clothing. This was a complete 180-degree turn from what he had been at their first meeting. Bill sat him down and asked Angela to remain in the room because she obviously made Haydn feel safer. After insisting that Haydn had some water, Bill engaged in casual conversation. Although Haydn was able to easily participate in this conversation, Bill made the decision that he would not, out of the respect for Haydn, to ensure fairness and accuracy, record the interview as he had planned. All right. Does Haydn have anything more to do with the disappearance of the Beaumont Children? Now, according to the updated book, which you can now get it on pre-order, according to Bill Hayes and Stuart Mullins, they believe that Haydn is indeed a lot closer to the case than originally thought. Now, what does that mean? That Haydn is a lot closer. Was he involved in any way? What was Haydn's involvement? What was Haydn's involvement? Let's ask that question to the audience. Put your thoughts in the chat room. What was Haydn, who was at home around lunchtime, but that's between 12 midday and 12:30? He said that he saw the children come into the backyard and into the house. There was no disturbance. There was no racket going on. When Haydn finally went back into the house, the children and his father were no longer there, but the front door was left wide open. He also stated that the father, Harry, didn't come home to several hours later. Chrissy says, I think he got the kids there. You think Haydn got the kids there, or do you think the father did? Or do you think both did? Now remember, Haydn was working. He came home from work for lunch. Roughly the time the children left Collie Reserve with the man. So do you think that Haydn was the person that was helped lure the children? Haydn, yeah, Haydn. I think he got the kids there. It's a possibility. I mean, we do not know for certain. That's the thing. I mean, this is only speculation, theory, gossip, rumor, tied in with a little bit of comedy. We don't know for certain. But if Haydn, who is the eyewitness, what more does he like? It has been known that he held back a lot. He held back a lot. There's a lot more he could have said, but he chose not to say anything. Is that a form of guilt? Or is that a form of trust? Or is that a form of both? Because Haydn didn't want to say anything because people thought that Haydn thought that, why should I go to the police? They might think that I'm a wacko, a weirdo, or a conspiracy theory. You had to have known. And this is what's going to come out in this updated book. It's now believed that Haydn was a lot closer to this case than originally thought. And I'm questioning to myself is, so does that mean that Haydn somehow had some type of involvement? Because if you look at what was ordered at the bakery with that £1 note, it was far too much for a child to intake. So did whoever took the children knew that Haydn, or the son, Haydn, was going to be home for lunch? Because there was extra pasties and finger buns. And in my mind, that pasty and a finger bun would have been for Haydn if he was coming home for lunch. Well, Haydn said in his testimony he was home for lunch. But did the father knew that he was going to be home for lunch? Because that day, Saturday, was known to be fuck off Saturday. It means you weren't allowed to be on the property. You had to fucking be away from the fence. I've got stuff to do. Right? And that's where Harry, the father, does his activities, his sexual fetish activities. But did Harry knew Haydn was going to be home for lunch? In my opinion, I think he did. Because the morning of the disappearance, we go back to the Beaumont's household, Jane was getting picked by her sister, Arna, at the dining table. Jane got a boyfriend, Jane got a boyfriend. Haydn was about 4 years older than Jane. But yet Haydn also had another brother who is around the same age as Jane. But the younger brother, we know, was nowhere near the household. he was with his mother. But Haydn was at the house. Haydn was at the house, not his other brother, Haydn. So you can clear the younger brother off. He wasn't involved. But Haydn? If it was normal for him to go home for lunch, then yes, he would have known that he would have been home. Yeah, that's a good question. Was it normal for Haydn to come home from lunch? Because where the bowling alley is to the residency of the house, very close. So hop, skip, and a jump. So, yeah. I say, in my opinion, I say it is a possibility that Haydn used to come home for lunch, because Haydn used to smoke the grain in the cubby house. Well, we know he used to smoke when he was 15. We know he was smoking at the age of 15. And they had a cubby house in the backyard. And he used to go in the cubby house with his workmate. Here's another thing too I like to ask. How old is the workmate that was with Haydn? How old is the workmate? Is it younger than Haydn or older than Haydn, or the same age? I truly believe now that Haydn used to come home on his lunch, because used to come where the house is. Used to be able to go out of the driveway, and there's an alleyway you can walk down, and you're at the back of the bowling alley. The bowling alley is no longer there, but it was just like a little alleyway, and you can get to the bowling alley. It was very close to the house, very close. No longer there anymore, but it's very, very close. And yeah, you mentioned it. If it was normal for Haydn to go home for lunch, then yes, his father would have known that he would have been home. Well, Haydn was smoking. It's in the book. I didn't read it because I wanted to skim over a little bit, but Haydn was smoking. And he was in the cubby house with his work colleague, his work friend. So, yeah, I truly believe Haydn regularly, if not all the time, used to come home for lunch, because it's right next to his house, right next door. And he didn't want to get caught smoking, so he goes into the cubby house in the backyard of his residency and have a cigarette. He didn't want to get caught. Didn't want to get caught. But what other involvement will Haydn have? All right, let's paint a picture. I'm not saying he did. I'm saying if Haydn had some type of involvement in the disappearance of the Beaumont children, put your thoughts down in the chat room or in the comment section underneath this video. What involvement do you think Haydn would have had? Now, I'm not saying he did anything. I'm only going on by what the co-authors and the private investigators, Bill Hayes and Stuart Mullins, has recently come out and said that Haydn was a lot closer than originally thought, a lot closer to this case or involvement than originally thought. Okay, that paints another question. What involvement did Haydn have in the disappearance of the Beaumont children? And also what made the conclusion to go down this path now, after so long, from previously thought to now? What comes to the conclusion? Now, if Haydn is involved some way, shape, or form, well, what is that involvement? I mean, no one, in my opinion, no one's going to get arrested or charged with this because they're no longer alive. And the case happened almost 60 years ago. So good luck if you're trying to arrest or get them to face their jury of their peers because they're no longer alive, in my opinion. You can close the case, yes, but to convict somebody, no. It's like a horse pulling the court. It's going to be a hard thing to do. But what involvement would Haydn have? What involvement would he have had? If that is true, if that is indeed 100% true, what involvement will Haydn have? He knows where the waste dip-off point was because he used to work down at his old father's factory when he got older too. So he knew about the cottages because he used to work there. Do you think that Haydn would make up a story that he was sexually abused by his father every time his father wears silk satin? Because he gets sexually aroused every time his father wears silk satin? Will Haydn make up that story? What's your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I mean, this is all questions. Many people have questions, even I do. But unfortunately, there's not many answers. And that's why it has taken this time to try to keep digging at information, to trying to unravel some information and see where it leads. Because this case, the Beaumont Children case, has taken a journey like you've never seen before. It's been each way and every byways. Chrissy says this, or maybe Haydn had told her that he was going. You mean him? Yeah. Or maybe Haydn told that he was going home for lunch and the girls were to meet him there. Oh, yes. Now I get what you're saying. You're saying that he might have told Jane that he was going home for lunch and the girls. No, it wasn't just the girls. It was two girls and the brother Grant. Yeah, bucket. That the girls were to meet him there and they had stopped to get the pipe and Pops to surprise him and Dad put on the silk. Yeah. Unalive them. Yeah. And maybe Haydn didn't know anything about it. Well, apparently in the testimony, Haydn heard gunshots. And Bill asked him how many. And he said a couple. Apparently Haydn did hear gunshots. Now, 1 minute the children are not there, the front door is left wide open, blah, 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 right? And the next minute, Haydn hears gunshots. So my question is, were the children there or the children not there? Because 1 minute you're saying the children went into the backyard, into the house, and left. You went into the house, there was no disturbance, no racket going on. You saw the front door wide open. Your father's gone, the 3 kids are gone. But then you heard gunshots. But then you saw then you also said that you saw your father put extra bags into the boot of his car. And the bags look like surfboards, type of plastic bags in the back of his car. And the question was asked to Haydn. You saw all this. You heard all this. You heard the gunshots. You saw the extra extra bags that put in the car, blah, blah, blah. You saw that. Why didn't you go to the police? And Haydn turned around and said, because the police thought that I was a weirdo. I would suspect something for sure. I've always asked this, was there more than one person involved with the disappearance? And I say yes. Even the private investigators, the co-authors of this book, they even said that there's more than one person involved. Who are the other associates? Because apparently there's a club out there, but you're not in it. There's a club, and one big club. Did they knew each other? You've got to remember that the technology back then is not the same as it is now. But did they knew each other? And the thing is, it just remains questions after questions after questions. I mean, will this case ever be solved? I bloody hope so. Until you find, I don't know if you ever find the bones, if there is any. It's been so long. It's been so long. But we are going to do another walk around, and I'll show you where this other bakery is, and you will be surprised just how bloody close it is to the house compared to where the other bakery, Wenzel's Bakery, is. And I will show you where the bowling alley used to be. It's no longer there. It's been knocked down. There's houses there now. But I'll show you just how close that bowling alley used to be to the house. And you will understand that, yeah, Haydn could easily come home every time he worked and whatnot. Because where Collie Reserve is, where the bowling alley is, where the two bakeries are, and where the family home of the Phipps family, their late suspect, is, you'll be surprised just how bloody close everything is. And it's like a Bermuda Triangle, where if you can walk to all of these locations, you can walk. All these locations are in walking distance from each other. It's like a Bermuda Triangle. And you'll be surprised when we do another live walk around just how close everything is. But you have to ask yourself a question. It was a crowded day, the day of the disappearance. It was crowded. A shitload of people were down at the Glenelg Beach on the day of the disappearance. Why didn't anybody say anything? How could someone easily sneak in, take 3 children, and take off without no trace? No one seen. How could, I mean, it's harder now because you've got Big Brother watching, everyone's got a camera, so forth. But back then, no one had the type of technology. It was so fared easier. If my house was just alone, I'd go home every day. I would too, if we had food. If we had food, if we had food, I'll be home every time too. But Yeah. I mean, everything changed since the disappearance. You know, back before 1966, especially here in South Australia, there was no such thing as stranger danger. You know, but people lost their innocence after the disappearance. They locked the houses up, the cars up, the windows up after the disappearance. Before that, people left their windows open, the cars unlocked, the front door unlocked, you name it. But since the disappearance, things changed. And then stranger danger came involved and that. But back then, yeah, you hear a child go running away, but 3 children disappear at the exact same time, at the exact same location. It was not heard of back then. It is now, but it wasn't back then. It wasn't heard of. 3 children. And I will say this, missing children just don't vanish or disappear out of thin air. It's not a fucking magic trick. It's not a magic trick. Something terribly, terribly gone wrong. What was that? It's up for anybody's speculation. Did they make foul play? I truly believe they did. I truly believe they did make foul play. Do I believe there's more than one person involved? Yes, I do. I don't have the evidence though, but it's leaning that way. It's leaning that way. And also, do I believe Haydn got any more involved? I truly, truly believe now, looking at it, yeah. He got more involvement. Whatever that involvement is, whether it's cover up or being an acquaintance or an assistant or trying to give information to his father that, hey, you know, they kids. I mean, the Beaumont children were down at Glenelg Beach the day before of the disappearance also. Why would you go back the following day? You were down there the day before. It was hot. They needed to. It was a hot, hot day. People blame the mother of the Beaumont children for not being with them on the day of the disappearance. Well, you know, she goes down to her grave not knowing where her children is. Don't you think that she'll have a little bit of regret? Of course she does. But she hasn't got the answers, does she? Neither does the father. Now, I'm not blaming the mother, but that people out in their society have. Why didn't the mother go with them? The children would not have been taken if the mother, as well and truly said. That's a fair argument. But we don't know what was going on in the household at the time. And yeah, it's a different time, a different era. People allowed their children to play outside on their own. Not so much now with what the world has transpired and involved itself in. But the mother and the father of the Beaumonts, they went to their gravesite, burial, not knowing where their children are. I wouldn't like to see any parent go down that road. Unfortunately, there is evil out in this world, and we have to look out for our children. Everybody is accounted for. Everybody is. The word I'm looking for is this. Everybody is you're indeed a somebody, not a nobody. You children, everyone are important. Don't say that you are not. Because we all need to move forward together in a positive direction. Every movement forward begins with one step forward. And we all need to move in the same direction. Unfortunately, you're going to have groups that will say, nah, fuck yeah, I'll do whatever I want. Well, do it. Do it. But we need to look out for our children. We need to be aware that there is evil out there. and people need to be held accountable. Just before we wrap up, there was some breaking news that transpired several hours ago, early hours Australian time. Brian Koberg has taken a plea deal in the Idaho 4 case. Now, he was adamant that he was going to fight this to the very, very end. In my opinion, I think the walls are closed in on him. I think it's due to the fact that the case against him is that strong that he couldn't get out of it. But I also think that the prosecutors had a bit of thing behind their mind that they must have thought and could be sworn on it, the prosecutors, on the, not the defense, I'm talking about the ones that actually running the case, the state. I truly think the reason why they offered the plea deal is because they didn't want to see Brian Koberger to be able to walk away on a appeal. I truly believe that Brian Koberger's attorney, who is Brian Koberger's attorney is also a public defendant that worked with the state, literally screwed Brian Koberger over too, in my opinion. Working alongside the state. That's what private defenders do. Right? But Brian Koberger's taken a plea deal. Now, it's still got to go through the court. The court still got to, the judge still got to preside over it in the next day or two to decide whether he will accept it or not. But now that Brian Koberg's taken a plea deal, that still remains that he will still face a death sentence. Very unlikely, in my opinion. Very, very unlikely. He probably will serve 4 lifetime sentences, yeah. But I don't think it will be a death penalty now that he's taken a plea deal. So, yeah. Of course he was. He knew what he was doing. Oh, yeah, he knew he was going to die. But now, I think if he pleaded guilty, he's taken a plea deal, I think he will just have 4 life sentences now. He won't have a death sentence. Yeah, one day he will take the plea in front of the judge. Yeah. Or just to throw a wrench into the fire, or a wrench into the circle. He might say it now, but come Wednesday, he could back off and say, no, I'm not pleading anything. People do change their underwear. I don't know. But hey, I don't think it'll be a death sentence now. I think it'll be 4 lifetime sentences. Because he was facing a death sentence if it went to trial. If he found guilty. He was facing the death sentence. But now that he's taken a plea deal, and he has pleaded guilty, I truly believe now it will be a lighter sentence, which means life imprisonment. Yeah, regardless, it's never free, but still a lighter sentence. Because I'm hearing that the Gonsalves family, especially the father, he's saying this is not justice for taking a plea deal. So basically, in my opinion, what Gonsalves is trying to say, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You know, that you take a life, your life needs to be taken also. Is that justice? I don't know. You can call it rough justice, hard justice. I don't know. He will never be able to appeal either. Not now, if he's taken a plea deal. But if he was found guilty in the trial, say that there was no plea deal, and then he was found guilty, you have a chance to appeal. But if he's taken a plea deal, there's no chance of taking an appeal now. That's why I think the state attorneys that gave him the the option of a plea deal, because they literally thought, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the state attorney literally thought that if there was a chance for an appeal, and there was a likelihood that Brian Kohberger could walk free on an appeal. So the only option they had was just give him a plea bargain. That's just my opinion. And now that he's taken the plea, because I'm looking at both sides of the argument here. The state attorney must have said, shit, if we don't get him a plea deal, there's a likelihood that he can walk free on an appeal. Right? But if you look at Brian Kohberger's attorney, they will say this to Brian Kohberger, in my opinion. The case is so strong against you. Everything is against you. The media is against you. Social commentary is against you. Everyone is against you. We cannot delay this. The judge has made his mind up. The only thing that we can do now is the plea deal. Otherwise, things don't look great. You are facing the death penalty. So Brian Kohberger took the death penalty. Brian Berger took the easy option, plea deal. Took the plea deal. Yeah, Christy says, I don't think he deserves a plea deal. Same thing. And public defenders don't do anything for anyone. They minimal to help their client. They're working for the state. They're working alongside the state. They're probably working against you than for you. And that's why I think that Brian Kohberger's attorney screwed him over. That's just my opinion. But the case was so strong against Brian Kohberger, they knew there was no chance of getting out of this. They knew. But on the state attorney side of things, they must have thought in the back of their mind that if we don't get him with the plea deal now, there's a likelihood that Brian Kohberger can still walk on an appeal. So they gave him it. And by looks of things, Brian taken the plea deal and pleaded guilty. So he's taken in hindsight, it's taken a lighter sentence, even though he will still face a life sentence, not the death penalties, but he will face he'll still remain in prison, jail, whatever you want to call it. He still remains in that. So yeah. But anyway, what do you think about Haydn? Is there more involvement in the missing Beaumont children? Leave your comments down in the comment section below. If you haven't already done so, please like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one. Hope everyone's well and stay safe. Stay cool, stay warm, stay everything. Oh, well, hold on. Before I go, I've got a question. Just coming. Question, what do I think about the Karen Reid verdict? It was a show. It was all a show. But at the same token, I truly believe that the prosecutors for the state fucked up. Well, not necessarily the prosecutors, but their witnesses that they brought to the table. Fucked them up. Fucked them up. It was a show. Now, when there's a rape trial, there's a high percent volume that you get put into jail. You get found guilty on a rape trial. This is not the case. Karen Reid now is going to be making millions of dollars in return. It's all a show. It's all a show. She is laughing now. She's saying, I fucking told you I didn't do it. She's having parties after parties. Wouldn't be surprised there's a fucking documentary movie coming out. There's going to be everything coming out. And quite frankly, their side said that there was corruption. Probably. Could be corruption. But it was a show. It was a show like you'd never seen before. Yes, I'm watching the Diddy case as well. The Puff Diddy Dum Diddy Do. Yes, I am. Puff Diddy Dum Diddy Do. There I was, rubbing baby all over me, singing do I diddy puff diddy do. Yeah. Yeah, he's guilty. He's guilty. But there's also other lawsuits that coming as well from other people that weren't involved in this case. There's other lawsuits coming. The person that they need to bring in that into the judge, not in this one, because this one's it's on verdict watch. But the person they need to get and to indict, if they haven't already done so, is KK. The right-hand person, the woman that knew everything, the text messages, the funding, blah, blah, blah. KK, she needs to be indicted. Diddy is done. His empire is fucked. I'm laughing what 50 Cent saying on social media about this. It's hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. I don't think corruption. I think stupid, not trained correctly policing. But yeah, you get that. That's why they say don't hire rejects from the police academy. That's what they say. Don't hire rejects from the police academy. But unfortunately, that's what happens. You hire rejects from the police academy, you get bad police officers. You get bad ones. But you have to get taught by this, yeah? You can't just walk into a job and say, I don't give a fuck. You have to be taught by this. There has to be some bribery or thing. I mean, there is a say no, but what do I know? I mean, things are run differently over it. Well, we've got corruption here in the police force here in Australia too, so I say it runs the same way. Money talk, bullshit works. Say nothing. Yeah. But I'll let you go. Enjoy your day with the missus. Yeah, she's trying to keep warm and that. But anyway, like, share, subscribe. Please leave your comments down in the comment section below. Also, go to the previous episode. Underneath the video, there's a pinned comment. If you want to get the pre-order book now, you can pre-order it now. The link is in there. It's all there and whatnot. Okay, until the next one, and there will be a next one. We'll see you on the next one.